China is adding what it calls Xi Jinping Thought to the national curriculum. The Education Ministry says it's meant to establish Marxist beliefs in students. The Chinese president's thoughts on socialism will be taught to students from primary school to university. The aim is to strengthen young people's resolve to listen and follow the Communist Party. Lo Minmin joins us from Beijing for more. Minmin, what's the aim of the extensive changes to the curriculum?
Well, the directive came from the Ministry of Education, and the curriculum would be written into primary, middle schools and universities across the country. And the aim is to plant the seeds of love for the country, for the party, and for socialism. Starting from primary school, it aims to get students to see that the party is the backbone of the people, and that President Xi is the leader of the party and the people. And its goal is for the rejuvenation of the great Chinese nation. And then moving on to middle school, the goal moves on to formation of basic political judgments, the laying of a solid ideological foundation with the help of President Xi's expositions on the party's leadership, on socialism with Chinese characteristics, on rule of law and overall national security. Now, it's important to note that this isn't a revolutionary move. Mao Zedong thought and Deng Xiaoping theory have also been taught in schools before. And this patriotic education took on additional significance in the wake of the 1989 Tiananmen protests. And it's accelerated in the years since President Xi took power. So it does represent a certain kind of cultivation of a growing worship of the leader with the expectation that he's likely to extend his rule beyond the end of his second term next year when the National Congress meets. That's after the government has lifted the two-term presidential limits for President Xi. And so it could have the potential of inculcating personal loyalty for President Xi and to stave off potential dissent in the future.
And this will have long-lasting implications beyond the classroom.
Well, yes, we need to look at this in the context of the broader regulatory crackdown in the education industry. For instance, foreign textbooks are banned in primary and secondary schools, and China recently cancelled ties with hundreds of overseas elite educational institutions without giving a reason why. And some are saying that it reduces the amount of opportunities for local residents to interact with foreigners. And there are also growing voices questioning the importance of the English language. Some schools in Shanghai, for example, have abolished exams for English language for the lower primary level. So it's amidst this backdrop that we need to see the enhancement of the patriotic education, which could have the potential of creating a more fueling a growing nationalistic sentiment here, which is significant in the context of growing hostility in the international environment, with the U.S. gathering its allies to confront China in a variety of ways, calling for a probe into the origins of the coronavirus, confronting them on the South China Sea, and escalating trade and tech race. So we have seen how Chinese consumers were able to boycott Western brands like Adidas and H&M when Xinjiang was under human rights attacks. And more recently, the state-linked tabloid Global Times issued a petition calling for the release of Meng Wanzhou, the Huawei executive, and it gathered 1.4 million signatures from Chinese citizens. And the Global Times actually used this as a basis for an open letter to the Canadian ambassador demanding Meng's release. So we have seen how this could be a tool for to put pressure on companies, foreign companies and foreign governments to align with Beijing. And Beijing has also tried to introduce a similar kind of patriotic education in Hong Kong as a response to months of protests over there. So analysts are saying that decades of this patriotic education could actually be quite effective in molding a generation of loyal citizens here in China.
Thanks very much for that update. Lo Minmin speaking to us from Beijing.